Hi, and welcome to the Zoe Marley channel, the #1 place for aspiring authors to learn the art of how to tell their story. Today we're going to be discussing something I'm sure all of you have heard, but we're going to go into detail about it, and that is The Hero with 1,000 Faces by Joseph Campbell. The Hero with 1,000 Faces is a trope that is as old as time. Despite its age, it doesn't seem any less impactful on us. There's something that connects our hearts to this particular form of storytelling, and that is why we're here today, is to study Joseph Campbell's work. So Joseph Campbell was a professor who studied cultures and stories all the way around the world, and he kept finding these common threads in the myths, the legends, even in religion. He found that these stories told of an unlikely hero, someone few would suspect to have great potential within them. This hero would venture out on a noble deed, face opposition, and come back home victorious. There's so much more than those few key elements, which is why we're going into today's video. Today we are going to be focusing on the 5 steps in the hero's journey that relates to Act 1. So these will be the first 5 steps. Let's go ahead and dig into it. Number 1, the ordinary world. How many times have you heard me say this already? But hey, one more time, it's not gonna kill us. Let's go over it quickly. Your main character, whether a god or someone of far more humble circumstances, starts somewhere. Now, when I say an ordinary world, I am not saying that it is some mundane place that is going to bore everyone in existence. It can be a fantastical setting. In fact, I love it when it's a fantastical setting. Just remember that your character has to be in this stagnant part of this fantastical world. She needs to be bored. She needs to have few possibilities. At the end of the day, she needs to go on an adventure, right? So think about Aladdin, right? He's in this town and he opens up his little window per se, and he can see the castle, and it's the most beautiful palace he's ever laid eyes on. And to him, that's a place of magic, that's a place of meaning, and he lives right there next to it. But when you're really looking at the town from his eyes, you're seeing more of a street rat, someone who doesn't really have a lot going for them. He doesn't have possibilities, and there's no real way for him to get out of that situation. You know, I think the guards even said, "You were born a street rat, you're gonna die a street rat." And that is a disheartening place to be. So even if your character is in this wonderful setting, they need to be in a position where they're still stuck. Number 2, the call to adventure. So the call to adventure is that initial moment where your character is given the opportunity to change. Usually this comes in the form of a message, a person, some way, somehow. It's like, hey, you want to come on this adventure? And it's usually typically done by soothsayers, prophets, grotesque looking people. And something that I'm happy about is those particular tropes are kind of dying out for the most part. People are really finding ways to make this call to adventure interesting and not so much within that strict structure that Joseph Campbell says. And that's one thing that I want to tell you about The Hero with 1,000 Faces. Realize there's a lot about this monomyth that is going to continue as a writer. And I just want to say, if something doesn't make sense for your story, don't do it, right? So if your story doesn't really have a soothsayer in it, don't put a soothsayer in it just to check this box. You know, in the ordinary world, the one that we just talked about, usually the hero, even though they're like this super humble person, they have like a miraculous birth. At the end of the day, if you don't want a virgin to have your main character, don't put it in there just because Joseph Campbell said this is what he normally found, right? So just when you're looking at this is stuff to really help inspire you, give you ideas, move you forward if you're stuck. but it is not a perfect checklist where you have to do each of these things. All right, so number 3, refusal of the call. So this message comes and says, hey hero, come do something heroic and go on an adventure. And your hero is gonna be like, what? Hell no, that's dangerous. Are you kidding me? At least that's what I would do if I were a hero. Except I'm not. But on a serious note, have you ever been given an opportunity but you're way too scared to take it? Have you ever thought about going to do something and then said, you know what, that's pretty dangerous, I'm not gonna go do that? I mean, at the end of the day, fear drives a lot of our decisions, unfortunately. I personally believe a huge key to happiness is being able to push through that fear and be the person you wanna be. Characters are based off of real people, and most real people, their lives don't change that much unless they are absolutely forced to. So, to reflect that, your hero, she's gonna refuse. All right, number 4. This is the supernatural aid and or meeting the mentor. Again, kinda one of those tropes. How many times have you seen old white guy come help young fella for no reason, just teaches him everything he has to know. Young fella surpasses old guy, and then old guy tragically dies. I mean, slightly overdone. The thing is like, people need mentors, especially when there's like a coming of age story. You have a young protagonist who doesn't know anything about the world, and she's gonna need some help with it. So it's very common for someone to have a mentor. I am not a young protagonist in my real life, and I have so many mentors still to this day. Luckily, they haven't died on me, and I don't want them to ever die. So again, I think most stories need the mentor. I just don't think the mentor has to be Gandalf every time. I don't think the mentor has to be the fairy godmother from Cinderella, where they just poof in, solve all of the problems, and poof out. I just don't like that. In fact, that isn't even a real mentor, if you think about it. That is a crutch for plot. It's like this weird rainy day, and my hair is like all crazy today. There's something I wanted to say. Oh, okay. So with your mentor, because I don't think there's a way to get around it, make it super interesting. So one of my favorite mentors is an old white man, and it's Haymitch from the Hunger Games. I don't know, he's just like so jaded, and he's an alcoholic, and he's reluctant to really help because he doesn't want to get close to the kids that are probably gonna die. I mean, there's a lot I like about him because he just doesn't really follow exactly that same mentor that we've seen over and over. All right, number 5, crossing the threshold. All right, so this is where we do it. This is where we are about to get into Act 2. Ladies and gents, here we go. Your character, after getting the supernatural aid or advice from the mentor, some skill set, something, begins to set out on her adventure. She's going to be moving away from the comforts of home into a world that's going to challenge her mentally, physically, and spiritually. Before she crosses over into this new world, into this threshold, she's going to come across what Joseph Campbell says is the guardian of the threshold. The guardian of the threshold is an antagonist or one of the cronies. This is the way we've always seen it. You see Neo from the Matrix, he's in his like day-to-day office cubicle, and he has to like crawl through the window to escape the cronies, right? The agents. And this is all wonderful and dandy. If you're sitting there and you're like, man, but I've seen this 1,000 times, it's because you have. And it's okay to be like, what else can I do? So next week I'm gonna be doing a video on something called mindstorming. It's going to be super interesting. I hope you guys take a look at it. And mindstorming is going to help you figure out unique ways to do certain things. So in this particular case, yes, the way we've probably seen it 1,000 times are these bad guys standing literally right in front of the door. You must fight me. And somehow the main character never gets killed and the bad guy never gets killed, but there's always that first interaction there. Maybe there could be something else. And so that's what my mind mapping is hopefully going to be teaching us. So that's everything for this video. If you got value out of it, hit that like button. What is your favorite thing about A Hero with 1,000 Faces? Tell me in the comments below. And if you're interested in finding unique tips and techniques on how to improve your storytelling, check out my channel. I am committed to bringing you 50 videos of my Right Now or Never series. Check me out, subscribe, ring that bell, and I can't wait to hear from you. Bye.